once again. This is Max House, and we're going to wrap this thing up. This first series of trainings on the 5x5, all the talk about paradigm shifts and dynamic duplication and imprinting and just all the things we've been covering over these last several trainings. We're going to wrap up today, and then we're going to re-gear, retool, and start to put together some tools that you guys can use as you reach out to people. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today is, there again, who are those guys? How do we reach out to them? How do we effectively reach out to them? We've already been covering that. That's why I shared the Marcella Powell saga with you. Very important story in our Relive life, and I really believe in a lot of other people's lives also. But, so this is the summation. But I'd be remiss if I didn't complete some of the few other things, among many, that Marcella Powell modeled to us and imprinted upon us in our early Relive life that I think really is worthwhile mentioning. And the first of those things is follow-up. Marcella Powell did impeccable follow-up with Wendy and I. She was diligent, she knew what she was doing, she knew why she was doing follow-up, she knew what she was wanting to achieve through that follow-up. And I know over the years people kind of got weary and burned out doing follow-up and didn't understand the power of it. I think as Wendy and I did, because we'd seen it so many times in so many different settings. So we are big believers in follow-up. Now with the 24K, I think the follow-up can be different, but it still is essential. Another quick story, just so you understand. My wife Wendy got on these products wanting to prove to me and everybody else that they did not work. Couple reasons. One, her experience as a naturopath, her training, everything worked towards her wanting to disprove Relive. The other is she was right in the middle of menopause, dealing with a lot of ups and downs, a lot of depression and upheaval. And so she was really not wanting these products to work. She didn't want to deal with this whole Relive, network marketing, new supplementation protocols and all that. But there again, I am so grateful to Marcella because she did impeccable follow-up. Towards the end of our first 30 days, and Wendy was ready to say, it doesn't work, let's get our money back. And Marcella Powell got on the phone, she'd done a health profile on both of us, and she got to Wendy and she said, well, Wendy, and she had probably a list of 7 to 10 things. Well, Wendy, what about this? No, no change. Wendy, what about this? No, no change. Wendy, what about this? No, no change. Wendy was a tough nut to crack, and she will admit that. But one of the very last questions Marcella asked, because she had done the health profile, because she'd done quality follow-up, is, well, Wendy, what about that cough? And guys, I was sitting there watching this thing, and I saw Wendy just get real quiet. And that, believe me, guys, if you knew how badly Wendy coughed at that point in time, 7 times a day, 15 to 20 minutes per episode, just racked her body. It was so horrendous. And Wendy got quiet when Marcella asked that question, and she says, you know, I have to admit, I do believe that my cough is at least 15 to 20% better. And guys, that was just enough for Wendy and I to go into that second month. Now, had Marcella not asked that question, had Marcella not helped Wendy to pinpoint the fact that these products had helped her at least a little bit with her cough, then we would have never gone on in this whole thing. And in my mind, that's a very scary proposition considering what all has happened in these last 9 years. So that's why we find follow-up so extraordinarily pertinent to what we do. And so just let that stand on its own. The other part of it was that Marcella was incredibly disciplined with us, and I'm sure with many other people she worked with, about never getting off the phone before she'd set another appointment, either the next day or a few days later, whatever it was. And she would say, well, what's the best time for you that we can get together, let's say on Wednesday? And so we would say, well, probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so Marcella would say, great, I'll call you at 2 now. Please do me the courtesy, if you are not going to be able to make that appointment, to call me back or text me and let me know, because my time is valuable. I've got other people I'm dealing with, and so if you can't make it, please let me know beforehand. Guys, what does that do? There again, that's imprinting strength. That's imprinting that I want to serve you, but I want to serve you in a way that also serves me. So Marcella maintained control of the situation. Guys, I'm telling you, very important things we learned early on in this process. I could go on and on about that, but when it comes to dealing with people, and we're going to be talking about more about that here very shortly, learn the art of setting an appointment from the appointment you're doing, rather than say, well, I'll get back to you in a few days and we'll see, etc. Do it on the spot. Put it in your calendar. Be disciplined, because that models something that you want to model and to be passed and imprinted into your organization. Enough said. Another thing I want to clear up is this whole thing about who are those guys. Remember, we talked about Josh, we talked about his inner circle, his people that he's going to ultimately end up very closely associated with, pouring lots of time, effort, energy into. And I had a lady that I've been dealing with that I kind of brought into this process. I love to go back and forth with her because she really helps me see where I may not be explaining things. She says, well, Max, my problem is I can't see that this is all going to happen with just 5 people. I mean, don't I need 20, 30, 40, 50, 60? Well, let me try to explain this, guys. Remember the Relive House that we've had in some of our animations on the comp plan? We've got all these people here. Now, if you are an existing Relive distributor, which most of you will be that are watching this particular set of trainings, then you're going to have people in your Relive House. You're going to have retail customers, wholesale customers, some at 20%, some at 25%, some at 30%, some at 35%. All different descriptions. Some are currently very passionate about taking their Relive products and very passionate about the results. Some are maybe on the wayside a little bit. Maybe they've forgotten the value because we haven't been doing the proper follow-up, but they're still in your Relive house. But just imagine if we took and we stirred that pot a little bit. We started getting them on these calls again, started helping them to get reconnected with the power of these products. And the ones that are already on will get more inspired. The ones that are kind of uninspired now will become inspired. So this is a process that we can do right now, today, and bear incredible financial reward just in that process. But let's say along the way of that process, all of a sudden this person here, we'll call her Susie. And Susie says to Josh, Josh, I'm getting excited. I'd forgotten how incredible this whole thing is. I had forgotten how powerful these products are, that people are actually making money. I hear about this 5x5. I get it. I'm excited about that. So this is where Josh then begins to do the leveraged interview. This is where he begins to implement some imprinting that's really systematic and purposeful imprinting. So he does a leverage interview. He says, okay, Susie, what is it you want? What is it you're looking for? But see, guys, none of this happens, especially from these people in your Relive house, because of anything necessarily you do other than good follow-up and the things we just talked about. It's really up to them to come out and say, Josh, Max, Wendy, Christian, whoever it might be, I want to do this business. What do I need to do? So that's when you can begin to kick into this other mode that we've been talking about for quite some time now, doing the leverage interview, doing all those things that help people count the cost, to do their due diligence, and really make a quality decision. Do I really have the time? Do I really want to do this? Am I really a person who will follow through? Am I a person that other people will follow? What do I need to change in my life? What do I need to bring into my life to be successful? What do I need to get out of my life? All those things happen in this process, and that's important that you begin to understand this for yourself, because this is what they're going to have to understand. Now, I've got some people here. I've got 5 little circles here with a couple question marks. Who are these people? Well, these are people, either they're in your life now and maybe they're on your chicken list. Maybe you go into a retail store and you get met by somebody that's very sharp, that's very that impresses you with their diligence, the way they look you in the eye, the way you sense they really do